Ladies and gentlemen, ready to go here for another game at U.S. Quidditch Cup 11. On your left-hand side, the champions of the West region, the Lost Boys, hashtag never grow up. To the right, Florida's finest, ready to duke it out in another USQ Quidditch Cup 11 pool play game for community. Looks like Lost Boys going to get to it first. Scoop that one up off the right-hand side. Come up the perimeter. They're going to wait for bludger control. Wow, Florida's finest wrestling bludger control away. Seto's going to come out here. Sorry, that's Ceto, not Seto. Sorry, used to be a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, so when I see Ceto on the back of the jersey, I assume. And Lost Boys taking their time here. Lost Boys, a team that has, throughout their entire keeper lineup, pretty good shots when we talk about that. And as they got another pass, and that pass near the front of the hoops, a nice deflection from Florida's finest to prevent that shot. An excellent pass from Allison on the far-hand side of the hoops, but Florida's finest swarming to that ball as soon as they saw it go up in the air because they knew where that pass possibility was, and they actually successfully stopped it on the front side of the hoops there. Good hustle from them. Florida's finest looking for another stop. By the way, Florida's finest has the strangest path to U.S. Quidditch Cup 11. They are a regional champion, as this is a battle of regional champions. A bludger comes over here towards the broadcast booth. A quaffle goes flying towards the crowd, way wide of where it was intended to go, but the wind takes it and brings it back towards Allison, the keeper for the Lost Boys, and they get a stop on their first defensive possession. There's a couple of Bosnian Bear Sharks are sitting in front of me, along with some Warriors here. Warriors just got a win versus Rochester United, a very tough team. Nonetheless, Bosnian Bear Sharks got a win earlier this morning versus the LA Gambits in an exciting start to Quidditch Cup 11 play. As Florida's finest maintains bludger control but does give up the first goal of this game, it is currently 10-0. Lost Boys leading over Florida's finest. There's going to be a switch in position up front. See what Lost Boys does without bludger control. Do they choose to send a point chaser out there to get one of the balls on the ground, or will they try and let, as the bludger's been thrown, there's no bludgers available to Lost Boys. They lost all three of theirs. Is the goal good? Is the goal good? There's no whistle. I see hands up in the air. One of the goal refs is running with his hands up. Is the goal good? I'm assuming it is. That makes the score 10-10. The mid hoop for the Lost Boys is now down. 10-10 beater exchange at half pitch. You don't see that too often. They at least get past the halfway mark, but one of the bludgers goes to the Lost Boys, and then Seto's going to try and split the field in half. Now Allison on the attack. They're going to say he was beat after the goal, although it seemed like it may have been a little early. A fight for the bludger. Ceto kicks one back towards his beater partner and picks up the one that's nearest to him. So not only did Florida's finest give up that goal to make it 20-10, they lost bludger control. They got mauled on the backside of that play behind the hoops. 20-10. Florida's finest down early. Actually, 20-20 off that mysterious goal that nobody gave confirmation if it scored or not. 20-20. Now on the attack, coming middle. A beater missed the throw from the Lost Boys, spinning inside. Now trying to find a pass, does find one, and wow, that's what happens when you got Allison at the keeper position. Not only does his height come into play, but he's got the agility to make that lateral movement from one hoop to the other. We've seen that a couple of times in a complete shift change for the Lost Boys as they're trying to come off the backside of this play here, trying to get to the other beater and get to that one bludger that the Florida's finest has, and they're trying to come up with something. They strip Allison. The quaffle is loose. Florida's finest has it, and hold on a second. We might have over the shoulder, which would be interesting. Nonetheless, it is going to be over the shoulder on Allison. It's not on Allison, but Allison was affected by it. It was number 22 by Florida's finest, who is going to be the recipient of the penalty. And it looks like they're going to move Steven further off the pitch. At number 22 for Florida's finest, shaking his head no. And I would beg to agree. It seemed like it was pretty even. It seemed like he went down the right arm of Allison as he had control of the quaffle. Allison's going to get it in front of the small hoop on the right-hand side. Allison coming around the perimeter, and he gets contacted. And as he takes his shot, it slips right back towards one of the beaters, and that's one of the beaters for the Lost Boys up front. And now a run. Looks like Florida's Finest might have a goal in transition if they can get past one keeper. Nice pass at the last possible second to get that one 30 all here. Hold on, we got a whistle being blown here. There might be a bludger turnover. Somebody tried to chase one off the pitch, I'm assuming, on the far left-hand side towards the Lost Boys bench. And they're having a conversation over here. Florida's Finest, the champions out of the South, facing off against Gainesville Siege, the other team to qualify for nationals out of the South in terms of the community bracket. There's going to be no There's 20-0 is the score. Huh. Interesting. As Allison is running up the pitch here, trying to make it 30-0, and it looks like he just did. Florida's Finest back to full strength after that yank penalty called on number 22. Now a throw of the bludger up front, and Florida's Finest, one of their beaters, tries to wrestle the ball away with Tuano out there. He actually deflects. Oh, they're going to say he got hit on the hand as he tried to deflect it. Quaffle, and now Lost Balls, he's out in semi-transition. There's a beater up front. Now he's lost his ball. Now Lost Balls, he's in full-on transition offense, running towards the hoops. A slip backwards at the last second and beat on the calf is going to be number 99. And now Florida's Finest has a free run at the hoops as soon as there is a quick, we thought there was going to be a quick beat from the Lost Boys, but there is a hoop down as Lost Boys is able to crush one home over the middle hoop. Austin Pitts walking over to the scorer's table. I think they have a conversation about that score. The middle hoop was taken out of its place, and the coupling is going to be broken for the second time here today on pitch one. Still no result on whether or not that goal was good. If the goal is good, it would make the score 30-10 in favor of Lost Boys here early on. As Florida's Finest has had bludger control but has not been able to maintain it long enough to be able to use it on offense. They've really turned it over quite a bit on defense because the Lost Boys have such a deep beater rotation. And as we get the hoop back to 100% here, just to remind you, Lost Boys won their first game of the day. They were able to get a win versus the Fighting Farmers of America, who easily have the best uniforms in all of Quidditch, even though the Bosnian Bear Sharks would disagree. The Lost Boys won against them 160-80. Other results, it is 30-10. By the way, just got a confirmation on the score. 30-10, 30 for Lost Boys, 10 for Florida's Finest. Nomads Quidditch took a loss to the 290 Bluebonnets. Wow, they just waved off the only goal that Florida's Finest has got to their name so far, so that makes it still 30-zip. This is a strange turn of events. A lot of goals being waved off. And they may be trying to call a tripping violation. No, they will not. The assistant referees and lead assistant referee will go back to their positioning. And hold on a second. As this game continues to be quite interesting. The Bosnian Bear Sharks, Florida's Finest, and Lost Boys at a standstill here. Currently Florida's Finest 30-0. Since we got some time, it looks like we're going to have quite a bit of time, but a key tournament that happened in the Quidditch world this year for the first time ever, the Lost Boys and hold on a second. The Lost Boys, LA Gambits combined with Cal, who The LA Gambits came in second at the West Regionals, just behind the Lost Boys, and the Cal Bears actually won the West Region in the college division. Those two teams combined together to put together a tournament called Heroes versus Villains, where they invited teams from all over the country to join us. Well, to join them in California to play what was actually one of the highest touted tournaments of the entire season. Talented teams like the Nomads came from all across the country to come compete in that, including Lake Erie Elite, who came all the way from across the country, literally from the eastern seaboard. Lake Erie Elite, regional champions themselves, and they all competed together, and it, well, was a kind of a preview for what Nationals was going to be about. Heroes versus Villains, the champions coming out of that one. When it was all said and done, Lost Boys technically the winners because they were ahead when the lights went out. At Heroes versus Villains, yeah, they were at a park that they had rented out, and the lights were supposed to go out. I believe it was at 9 p.m. or something like that. The Lost Boys were playing against the Nomads in the final. It was a lot of back and forth action, pretty heated, and then the goal was scored. And then the lights went out. I think the final score 90-60 technically of an unfinished game. So the only thing left to do is have Heroes versus Villains, the sequel. Everybody loves a good sequel, especially near Hollywood. Once again, a long pause here as Florida's Finest is down 30-0 to the Lost Boys. Lost Boys, the West Region champions. We had a penalty already assessed to. We already had a penalty assessed to Florida's Finest for a yank penalty. You don't see that too often. It's when you grab somebody's arm and yank it down. You can grab an opponent's arm for a tackle, but you have to grab it and hold on to it. You cannot yank it. It is a dangerous play if you do so. You can grab anybody's arm and just kind of hang off of their arm and try and drag them down. We see that happen all the time, but the yank penalty on Allison, a pretty tall keeper, and it looks like we're ready to get restarted in action here as one of our ARs seems like he's not going to be returning to action, and that may have been the issue that was addressed during that long pause here. I'll try and get you an update as this game continues on. Florida's Finest, really in their region, not many challenges other than Gainesville Siege, which is a team that they both, well, based off the travel situation that happened earlier today, everybody trying to leave either late Friday night or during Friday at any given point near the Florida area was delayed. And as a matter of fact, flights were canceled. A couple of Gainesville Siege players and a couple of Florida's Finest actually could not make it for the start of Nationals here today because of the cancellation of flights all over the country. A couple of Tufts players had their flights redirected towards Houston. Florida's Finest was not able, some of them were not able to even board the plane, which is interesting enough. And I think it's 30-10 right now. So that last goal did 30-0, sorry, got a correction. 30-0 like we previously thought. And any explanation for the long pause that we're having right here? I think we had an AR that's going to be, we had a piece of equipment damaged over here. And yes, we are indeed, like I speculated. I saw one of the ARs take off his officiating jersey, and we're going to have a new official enter the field of play. So hopefully the AR is going to be all right. Lost Boys and Florida's Finest getting a little rest here. It's been a long day, especially for Florida's Finest. Most of these guys, I heard, only got like an hour of sleep or something like that. So they're switching the head ref. Interesting. They're going to be switching head refs, I believe it is. Or it seemed like somebody was going to replace the AR who walked off the field for a second. Whatever is happening, there is going to be an officiating change of some sort coming up here in a second for whatever reason, and I just got confirmation for that. Interesting. Have to get that story afterwards, but score currently sits 30-0. Lost Boys getting away like I said, really what Florida's finest. Florida's been struggling overall to maintain control of. They've been struggling to maintain control of the bludgers, especially in particular on defense, because they've had to go out there and they're using them because Lost Boys not only is attacking from multiple angles, which forces early on throws, which up top, when you're talking about trying to defend against, Lost Boys, they got guys who can beat your one-on-one chasers up front. So you either got to throw the bludger to get away from other beaters and prevent your offense from getting put into a bad situation, or you got to throw the bludgers to actually get to one of the quaffle carriers, which is probably not going to work out in your favor either. So it's a pick your poison type of situation, and until Florida's finest gets really precise on those throws up there, it's going to be a rough going for them, as we've seen so far in this live stream. There is going to be a new head ref entered into this game, so there will be another captain's meeting and a conversation being had. But as I was saying, the score sits currently 30-0. Don't let the score fool you, because the score itself is centered around a couple, not just one, not just two, 3 goals wiped away by Florida's finest. 2 of them off of beat or no beat situations, and then the other one called off because the hoop fell down, initially called good, and then another one in transition as well, where it was a question of who got beat first. And it seems like maybe the wind is messing with the scoreboard, because I've just been informed the score is currently 30-10. As far as I know, prior to one of the goals that began the stoppage of play, Florida's finest was down 30-0. They're going to call it 40-10. Officially, the score would be 40-10. Had a breakage of a hoop, and we got a time check already, and we're only like 3 minutes into this game. But Florida's finest, a collection of players all over the Florida area. Of course, people who moved into that area, for instance, Kelby, who plays for Gainesville Siege. He's a pretty interesting player in and of himself. He's very unique. He's transitioned from a couple of different positions and plays really well across the board, so he's always useful to any team that he plays with. A lot of Florida's finest is composed of not only just high-quality athletes that have no college affiliation for a Quidditch team, but a good chunk of the Miami Hurricane program that was so elite just a few years ago, and some Florida Gators mixed in there as well, but mostly of Miami, the U, and some of their alums coming together for an elite top-tier team. And there is another captain's meeting going on, so we might as well just reset this game. The score will remain the same. We are here at U.S. Quidditch Cup 11. I'm Ashton Gene Lewis, and Florida's finest and Lost Boys are duking it out here. We might as well, since we have some time, it seems like we've had plenty of time here today, talk about some more scores that have gone down. At the 9 o'clock hour, we talked about at the 9 a.m. hour this morning, the Lost Boys beat Fighting Farmers of America, who pulled the suicide grab. 160-80 was the final score, and that one, Florida's finest lost to Ohio Glory 230 to 120 earlier today, and that was when they did not have a full roster, so that kind of put them behind the 8 ball. Okay, new head ref has confirmed for the final time today. It is 30-0. It is 30-0. I've changed the score about 4 or 5 times, and as the fans cheer as pitch 1 is back in action after that strange turn of events early on games, as we're back at it. Allison coming around the perimeter on the left-hand side in front of the crowd over here. Good amount of fans showing up, by the way, to Round Rock, Texas, especially for day 1, where it's random pool play games. And a nice slip, as you saw the quaffle get raised up to get past the extended arms to try and swipe it free, and then a slam on the mid-size hoop. That was pretty cool there. As it looks like Florida's going to go with a change at the beater position. They're going to send in a new male beater and a handoff up top to a new ball carrier, number 25. Seems like they've been working on, this might be a design play. There's a screen coming off the far left-hand side. Is he going to take it? He will. Screens in Quidditch working where you can move. You just cannot push your opponent with your hands. You have to set it up with your body. And now a tackle behind the hoops. Florida's Finest got the quaffle on the ground. Lost Boys trying to clean it up with their beaters, and they will, man. That is really impressive defense. You got to somebody coming in with a clutch tackle, and not only that, being able to finish it to get the quaffle back to carry over and take care defensively of this situation. Allison has new chasers and new beaters into the game. They're in with bludger control. Near perfect situation if you are a beater coming into the game. No reason to work to get bludger control back. Lost Boys, one of two teams in the Los Angeles areas. And now a beater deflection creates some pressure up top. And let's see if the chasers for Florida's Finest can come up with a tackle. Allison up top. Gets the ball right back after that deflection, and also bludger control right back for Lost Boys after hustling down that ball. And it looks like Florida is going to try and occupy one of the bludgers while they try and work on taking down Allison. And now a run off the far right-hand side. That ball hooks right to the right, and looks like Lost Boys is going to recover after some good hustle near half pitch, and they're going to reset the offense as they found a couple of ways to get just in front of the keeper zone and take those shots. But Florida's Finest hanging out near the hoops. In particular, hanging out near the hoops are their bludgers. They're hanging out in front and behind the hoops to try and beat anybody who tries to close in on it. And then on top of that, making sure that the Lost Boys have to take shots from beyond the keeper zone. Allison is up top. It's a 1-on-2 situation. They're trying to set a screen up top to rotate him towards one of their defenders, and because that defender on the right-hand side is a keeper, he cannot be beat in the zone. There's another nice pass. Once again, the Lost Boys, with some great communication and some of it unspoken communication, are able to work around the defense of of Florida's Finest. They're hanging back on the hoops so far, so you have to make a quick and sudden motion. Florida's Finest going for 1.5, throwing one of the bludgers back, and a shot taken and missed off the middle hoop. You have to wonder what happens if he gets just a little bit closer, and that is sometimes the curse of being gifted with a very good shot. You think you can just hang out near the keeper zone, take those shots, but when your team needs buckets, there is a bludger that is off pitch right now, and that's why Cito is imploring that the official look over there. Now, Lost Boys trying to find their way. That looks like number 14 for Lost Boys was beat on the heel, but the official's not going to call that. It looks like he's out in transition as well. Allison going to set that up. Two bludgers are right at the top portion. Two bludgers are just sitting on the pitch right there. Nobody hustling to go get those. The beaters for Florida's Finest just fine with not coming out to try and stretch their defense out and open up those lanes that Lost Boys can take advantage of. A really rare situation. You just saw Florida's Finest subbed out on defense. You don't see that too often. Allison coming into the game, has been out there the entire game, but slipped up there for a second, dropped the quaffle behind him, and now a fight for the bludger at the hoops. One of the hoops is down, so it's only two chances to score, and now Florida's Finest mobbing in front of the hoops, nobody making contact, and it looked like a chaser reached through the hoop there for a second, but it was actually a keeper who stripped it before the shot was taken at all. Two hoops are down in the process of that, and Florida's Finest gets another stop. They've got one goal here so far. It's 40-10. 40-10 on the way, and somebody trying to grab an arm for a tackle, and right into a beater is where it goes, and the quaffle is down on the ground. Lost Boys got a free run at the hoops, and a throw not in time, and oh man, a beautiful tackle. It strips the ball right at the hoop, and Florida's Finest starting to take advantage of the confusion. Allison grabbing the armor, number 22 for Florida's Finest. They're trying to pull him down there. He grabs his arm again, and he strips the quaffle. Allison's on a run on the left-hand side, coming around, looking middle. He's got bludgers over there, but he's got a chaser up top near half pitch. He thinks that he's got Allison behind him. He doesn't kick pass over there, and it's actually picked up, well, temporarily by Florida's Finest, but because of the bludger control of Lost Boys right now, but the bludger control currently lies with Florida's Finest. They're running around trying to create pressure, and in the process of creating pressure, they give control back to Lost Boys, just how they would want that situation to unfold. They get one chaser beat to get the bludger back. That's a great exchange for them. Great exchange for Lost Boys, not Florida's Finest. Epstein on the right-hand side. He's got a beater in front of him. We'll see if they actually use him, Or they're going to go for the beater up top to try and, yes, they will. A throw and deflected. Epstein's in trouble. He gets beat on the thigh, and now Florida's Finest has a chance to run. There's only one bludger back. One is coming up behind, so there's kind of sandwich in between. Somebody has to run with them. Now a run up top, a pass and a shot from way outside the keeper zone, and you can hear the frustration from the crowd around here. That was a poor decision that could have resulted in a goal if taken care of properly. Epstein now has the ball inside the keeper zone. He gets the ball stripped away yet again. 14 coming down the right-hand side. He's taken 2 shots already. Let's see if he tries to get a little bit closer next time. Cito has now entered the field of play. That's not good news for Florida's Finest. A beat up top, bludger control back to Lost Boys. 3 bludgers down, none of them belong. 2 bludgers up to Lost Boys and 1 to Florida's Finest. They will rip down the hoop. Lost Boys bringing the noise here. Lost Boys with a really cool hashtag. I'm sure a lot of people at home will like it. Hashtag never grow up. It's the mantra to live by for sure, and the Lost Boys have enjoyed a lot of wins following that mantra. Bludger control still lies with them. Possession of the quaffle behind the hoops over there, which is always dangerous for any defense trying to stop it. Florida's Finest trying to recover, trying to get a deflection. Cito is going out of his mind, and a nice long-range beat from near mid-pitch. And now Cito's trying to trying to punch a hole in the Florida's Finest defense to come up with a bucket. Epstein catches it behind the hoops and finishes. Lost Boys running away with this one. It should be 60-10 at this point. 70-0. Gonna get a score confirmation here in a second. 70-0. Florida's Finest try to fight their way back into this game. They found lots of opportunities, just have not finished them. Taking shots outside the keeper zone, getting close enough to dunk, and just not doing it. A little disappointing for a team that's so talented. And a nice pass, an excellent angle and pass off the mid-hoop over there. That was beautiful. If you got a chance to see that on camera, cross pitch, low enough that only his receiver could get to it, and a goal scored off of it. Now on the drive up top, Florida's Finest trying to protect bludger control. And a nice pass off the small hoop on the left-hand side. They're going to call the goal no good? They're going to call the goal no good before. There is a bludger that went off pitch. And it's going to go to Florida's Finest, and they're running in here trying to set up and a missed throw up top, and now a run for a loose bludger. Both of those loose bludgers would now belong to Florida's Finest, and it could be a near snitch on pitch situation with nobody really focused on the quaffle play as they're trying to get the bludgers back into the picture. Cito over there on the short side. On the short hoop side, getting the ball back up top. There's a tackle coming from Epstein. He's going to get beat on the far side. And a drive from 30 and a finish as well. Back-to-back buckets from the Flamingos of Florida's Finest. And coming up the pitch here. Third keeper in. Cross pitch pass, and it's intercepted by Florida's Finest. They're about to turn this game on their heads if they can get this bucket here, make it 30. Oh my goodness. 3 straight buckets from Florida's Finest to make it 70-30. After the first almost 10 minutes of this match, scoring 0 points, they come up with 30 in less than a minute. Now a drive in possession of the ball. Tran with a beat up top. He gets beat in the mid-pitch area. Now Lost Boys has got a free run at it with no bludgers up front. Somebody's got to get up and make a tackle. In the keeper zone, the ball's almost stripped away. Might be a jersey pull, but nonetheless, the pass is excellent behind the hoops and finished strong. And it looks like somebody for Florida's Finest is hurt or just tired. Snitch running into the field of play over here. Snitch Rob, as a matter of fact, if I look over there. And another goal for Florida's Finest. Back and forth they go as this game is nearing snitch range. If I am correct, it's 80-40. 80-40. 1 goal away, and Florida Finest gets a snitch pull. and they can make this happen. Tran gets a beat up front, plows away, and now with 2 keepers in, the Lost Boys are ready to go to work here. Change up in the primary lineup. And starting beater Tran is going to come up here. Looks like he's got a chaser directly behind him. He's probably going to beat him here. Yes, he will. Now he's going to step up, try to address that first beater up top. He's going to get beaten. A catch from Tran is going to stop him from being eliminated from that play, and Allison is going to take a shot off the mid-hoop and finish that one. They're trying to say that Allison got beat. They're going to say, I think, Paisley's going to call over the officials. Paisley's going to call over the officials to try and question whether or not Allison scored after he was beat. That's an interesting discussion to be had after the goal. As the speaking captain, Paisley can walk onto the field. That's why you're wondering if you see a random player walk onto the field. The goal is still good. No surprise there. You're not going to win. You're not going to win most challenging. Oh, wow. I take that back. It is no goal. They're going to say Allison was beat before, which maintains the lead. Maintains the Lost Boys lead of just 3. Now running the perimeter. A couple of chasers. Oh, it's 90-40. 90-40 on the score correction. Behind the hoops. And scooped up in a nice defensive play behind the hoops once again. Just off the Lost Boys cover. Another snitch is about to walk onto the field of play. That means we got a minute left until the Seekers will be released. Allison coming off the right-hand side. Somebody's got to tackle him and trucked in front of the big hoop. I'm sorry, in front of the mid hoop over there. But Florida's Finest comes up with possession. Allison trying to run back to get back on defense. 30 trying to run up to get a score. He will, and it looks like Cito, either Cito just got cleated or he got hit in the hip, and that kind of messed him up for a second there. The crowd getting in on the game. We'll see what happens. Florida's Finest going to go defensive on this snitch pull. Going to go defensive on Seeker, which means they'll be dedicating all the beaters. The goal is good. That makes the score 90-50. 90-50 is the current score. The score is 4, so they'll be switching. Florida's Finest is switching between 2 different Seekers, 1 offensive and 1 defensive. And Lost Boys looks very content to try and kill as much time as they can before Seeker play begins. As the countdown has begun, 5 seconds. Shot behind the hoops, is it good? They're going to call it good. It's 100-50. Florida's Finest down versus Lost Boys as they're going to track the quaffle down and wait for the official to come bring it to them. Florida's Finest is going to have a beat go down, and they'll throw all 3 bludgers down. Cito just threw back the 3rd bludger, and it might be Garde. Yeah, that's a rough spot. Cito beat number 25 for Florida's Finest, and then in the process, his beater partner picked up. That's gonna be a sliding penalty. She stuck her foot out as she was trying to get to the quaffle, and it went into the leg of another player. But Cito on the play before that grabbed one of the bludgers, and to make the opponent run, threw it behind him, and then picked up the second bludger that was closest to him. His beater partner picked up the other one, which is essentially guarding. It makes it near impossible for an immune player to get to that ball because he threw it behind him, and it takes him out of the play. Although Florida's Finest would be able to claim immunity, guarding is a very serious card here, and of course in this situation Florida's Finest trying to get any break that they can. There are 3 fouls. There is guarding the 3rd bludger called against Cito. And in the process of guarding the 3rd bludger, Cito threw it off the pitch. And there's an illegal kick that goes down against Florida's finest. And it'll be a bludger turnover. Cito will not be going to the box, but number 13 for Florida's finest is going to be in the box for a minute or until Lost Boys score, which for the sake of Florida's finest, if they want a chance in this game, will not happen. She was trying to slip in there for a kick, but as you saw on the footage there, her legs slid down and she made contact with another player's shin, which in a more tenuous situation, because the rule is in place, somebody could go cleats up against a player that's running for a loose quaffle and just kind of kick them in the leg and possibly cut their leg open or possibly do even more damage than that. It is 100-50 right now. The Lost Boys currently leading. If they score, it will release the downed chaser for Florida's finest. Turnover up front, a bludger turnover. Cito's gonna be beaten. He's gonna go back to Hoops over there, scooped up. And Allison's running around the perimeter on the right-hand side. Sorrell is gonna set a screen. He's actually tracking behind that opposing chaser. Now he's going to run behind the Hoops to play fast chaser, see if he can get a pass over the top of the keeper for Florida's finest, who's now stepping out towards the keeper zone just to ward off Allison. One to waste time so that they have possession of the quaffle to get alone time for their seeker as Snitch Rob goes down for a second there. He gets pulled down. Allison waiting just outside. By the way, if you're wondering why they're doing this, because they have bludger control and they can just track down anytime a seeker taps back into the game, and they will not have to give up. Number 13 for Florida's finest has to tag up before she can be entered back into the field of play. There is a advantage call from the head ref here, and it might be for illegal play. Lost Boys looks like they got a score there from Breen. We'll see if that's going to count. Oh, there may be a snitch grab. There's also a penalty called before that. And if this is over, yeah, lots going on in this game. It's been very interesting between Florida's finest and the Lost Boys. If it is final, it's 130-50. The final score, 130-50. The Lost Boys will run onto the field, and they will celebrate another victory here today. They are 2-0 so far in pool play. Sorry, let me double check that. I'm making sure that I'm giving as much information as I possibly can, as that very strange game has come to an end. But the Lost Boys showing why they are the champions out of the West. They've done a pretty good job, controlling bludger control. They controlled the beater play throughout the course of that game, despite the fact that Florida's finest really made a run at the back half of that one. It was just too little too late for Florida's finest. They'll have to pick it up and get back to it next time around, as they really, like I said, had a chance in the back half of that game, and that's why a lot of people were pretty excited about it. But nonetheless, the wasted opportunities early in that game are going to come back to bite them. I'm sure they're going to look at the film tonight and realize that very much. Anyway, final score here, 130-50. Lost Boys victorious over Florida's finest.